Hello, my fellow flawless, limitless, sexy, sassy, saucy HBICs. How are you on this lovely morning, afternoon, or evening? How are you all? I hope you're all doing fabulous. I hope you're all choosing to be the versions of yourself that have exactly what you want. I hope that's what you're doing today on this lovely Monday, this magical manifestation Monday. I hope all things are well with each and every one of you. I received 2 comments on my channel that should not be right next to each other in my lineup of comments, but they are. And I don't think it's a coincidence. And we're going to talk about them today. The first question is, if only we can create our reality and nothing and no one has any influence on it, then we manifested everything that happened to us in our childhood. I just don't understand this concept that we create everything and no one else can influence it. For example, I didn't create a lot of things in my reality, such as cars, electricity, or traumatic things that happened to me under the age of 5. Someone tried to break in our house when I was younger. I didn't even know people with bad intentions existed. All I knew was my loving family. So how is that even possible? Maybe I'm missing something, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And it's a really good question. The next question is, it is difficult to change a version of yourself that has been present for multiple decades. We're going to hit both of those today. I hope you stick around with me as we hit them. We often talk about in this community that time is not linear. Time is not real. In other words, linear time is not real. We as humans believe we are experiencing linear time. And as I have shared before, like, listen, that idea didn't start with me, right? I don't think I manifested there not being linear time. This was spoke about by other scientists. Mr. Albert Einstein is one of them, just one. Time as we experience it is to help us make sense of frames. Frames, we could say, of reality, frames of experiences, moments of experiences, moments on a lifeline, moments of reality of yourself. So when our mind gets rumbling and questioning, are the things I experienced in my childhood my fault? Where did all these things come from? I didn't even know robbers existed, and yet a bad person tried to hurt my family, blah, 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 blah. Good question. So yes, do all the other humans that we interact with exist? Yes. Every single person, every single human is let's say, a specific point in consciousness, a specific viewpoint, or a specific being that source is choosing to experience physical reality through. So source is choosing to experience reality as me and as you and any other viewer. So I think that as far as when it comes to the manifestation land, it might be easier to look at reality similar to the movie The Matrix, where The Matrix kind of, presents this idea to us that we're living inside of a video game. Not really a video game. Actually, it was a computer game. Think of it like that for a moment. Inside that video game, the buildings, the houses, the other players, vehicles, animals, they all exist within it, but it was already created for us, the experience, let's say the backdrop. And what do we hear all the time? What does the Bible say? Creation is finished. The absolute, the one big fella, the universe man, God, source, higher power, source energy, moonbeams, created all there is. So then where do we come in the picture? What is this idea that we can create? Well, it is this question that if you go to any of my older content, you will hear me saying, I don't even think we should say or call ourselves creators in one respect, because that leads to confusion, doesn't it? Creation is finished. Everything already exists now. So why I believe that viewing reality similar to like a simulation, like a game, like the movie The Matrix, that can quell some of the questions, especially, are things my fault? How did I create a bad man in my reality at 6 years old? From my view and my experience of reality, and I was just about to say reality creation, however, I look at it as I am new. I am a clean slate every new now moment, because the only moment that truly exists is the eternal now. However, Vadim Zeland's perspective on reality transurfing might also help. The past cannot be changed because it has already happened. Hold on. It happened not only because a past section of a lifeline was realized, but because the alternatives of those past events already existed. In this sense, you could say the same thing about the future, that it has already happened. And so cause and effect relationships are not contradicted in the phenomenon of the shift from one life line to another. You could cross out one of the frames in a film roll, but it would not damage any of the other frames. Time is static. It is only the realization of potential lifeline alternatives that has the quality of dynamic change. The force for realization moves across lifeline alternatives in the same way as the circle of light from a torch moves across forest trees in the dark. Some of my very literal, logical subscribers, HBIC friends, you might have heard that first sentence. That's why I said, hold on. The past cannot be changed. We're not saying revision isn't a real thing. Don't take that so literal. What he's trying to say is it's because everything already exists. Everything is already created. So the life experience of your home being, unfortunately broken into, which I'm sorry you had that experience, especially if it was traumatizing, that already existed. That was already one out of the infinite possibilities. And possibly who you were at the time of that event meant the idea of the doorway being open to you having that experience. But I would not look at it as that is your fault. That was just one out of the infinite different experiences or frames that was chosen. And as children, we are heavily influenced around the beings around us. And I would tell you no different, that I had a definite loving family growing up, but some not so great events did happen throughout my childhood. I do not look back there and view it as, what did I do wrong as a child that this event manifested? My mom and dad were really good to me. I was raised around what I would define as pretty darn good people. So where did that come from? Could have come from a number of places. I don't think it's awesome to look back and ask yourself what was wrong with me. I don't think that's helpful. I think that's limiting. And you're forgetting the idea of the alternative space, as Vadim Zeland calls it. I would say God would say, the absolute of everything, the all-knowing, the absolute, all creation. We, as humans, experiencing physical reality, experience and see and sense a very small percentage of actual reality. So as far as the moving forward, how we're choosing from our future or for our future experience, it's because whatever we desire already exists. We are always in the eternal now. Another way of saying that, and I love Tom Kieran for using this verbiage, is we're in the vertical. We're not in this horizontal, straight, linear lifeline like we believe we are. As Vadim Zeland mentioned in this little piece that I just read, that if you took a film roll out of like an old style, like Kodak disposable camera, you could unwind the film and there would be individual frames of the pictures that we snapshotted, right? Well, if we cut the film and cut one of the frames out and ripped it up and shred it, that doesn't ruin the other pictures. They can still be there, per se. That's what we're doing in every now moment, is we're viewing another frame, another little snapshot based on the who we believe we are in this moment, based on who you are walking around saying I am. Now, granted, I know in a literal sense, you're probably not walking around saying I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. No, you're probably just making an easy assumption by choosing all the prior frames that you believe you experienced, throwing them in a backpack, and deciding who you are from that backpack. So when you find conscious manifestation, you come to realize that I have choice. I have options to more frames than just what I experienced so far and what I will now experience. We could say, there is a version of you, or there is a lifeline, as Vadim Zeland would word it, where your house didn't get broken into, or you didn't have that traumatizing experience. That exists. It exists right now. It existed in the moment that you were experiencing the traumatic event in your childhood. It was happening in alternative space, and an alternative option. All options exist. That's the point. That's the point of this. It isn't helpful, I don't think, to go backwards and start picking yourself apart. Why did I experience this? Why did I experience that? Why not decide you didn't? Especially if it was something traumatic. Okay, you didn't. Maybe that didn't happen. Maybe you can allow yourself to see the idea that, what if I never did have that experience? What if I was never traumatized by that? Could I be someone new that was never affected by that? Yeah, you sure can. And that's why I said that question ties into the second question that I read. Listen, when I first found conscious manifestation, and let me reword that, and actually started taking it seriously. I was 38 when I found it, and I started taking it serious when I was 42. And several moments in that time frame, we'll say definitely from 42 to like 45, I'm going to tell you right now, that's exactly where my mind used to go. That it isn't fair for those of us over 40 at the time. I'm 51 now. But for those of us over 40, this is not fair. Why didn't I get to learn this stuff in my younger years? It's so hard for me to think of myself as someone new. I have, at the time, 42 years of shitty experiences in the money department and in the love department, which were the two main areas I was manifesting. Granted, I'm hoping you are all of the awareness now that you're not just manifesting in one area. You're manifesting your entire existence every day. Every area of your life is a new choice you're making every moment. But yeah, I thought that too. It's harder for us. It's unfair. We have more bad experiences to unlearn, or more shitty beliefs that we've got to dig up. And I invite you to think a little differently. I invite you to remember that your source now. Now. What does that mean? That means you're whole now. That means whatever or however old you are, any previous unfavorable experiences, they have not really chipped away at you and made you less than. They really haven't pillaged your mind the way that we may have been conditioned to believe. So it doesn't matter what age you find this in, you're new and you're in the eternal now, just like an infant is, just like a 10-year-old is, a 25-year-old, a 51-year-old, an 80-year-old and above. We're all in the now moment, the eternal now, the ageless now. So no, it doesn't have to be harder. But yes, you can manifest an experience to have that validation, which I could say is just more and more examples of how that belief is true for you. I also wanted to say is, how can we accept that other people don't have, let's say, influence or impact on your reality. They have as much influence or impact than you're allowing them to have. You can manifest the experience of someone else having a deep impact on your experience where they help shape your reality. Yes, you can create that experience because you're whole as source now, because you're divine now. So you can fill in the blank after I am and experience anything you want. So that can be true for you. And I will tell you, I know that there are others out there who believe that. So what do they experience? They experience evidence of that. I don't, because I don't believe that. So from my perspective, from my experience, it is only me who makes decisions in my reality and choices for myself because I am divine. I am divine. You are divine. We are all divine. Divine means whole, complete. And I suppose we could say, I guess the rest is whatever Webster's dictionary says divine is, but that's what it means to me. I'm source. I'm the same as the ocean, and I'm just the little droplet. You're just a little droplet. But we're made up of the same exact stuff that the ocean is, that God is. We aren't limited. We have been conditioned to believe we are, which is why it's very logical, and I'm going to say very intelligent of you to assume that because you have more time on this so-called lived experience, the physical, that it would seem like you have more things rooting against you. But that is a conditioned belief that you no longer have to accept as true. But then again, we can also look at that from a different perspective. We can say, hell yeah, we got a little bit more time on this planet. At least that's the experience we're choosing for ourselves. So maybe that means we have a little more knowledge and experience, that it's to our benefit. We can manifest that experience too, where that becomes true. I wouldn't choose anything that makes it sound like I'm limited. That's my personal choice. Every moment you watching this video is nothing but a frame on the film roll of the lifeline, or I'm going to say, or the version of yourself that you're choosing to be in this now moment. It's just a frame. So previous experiences can be cut away. The moment you started the video, where is that now? Where did it go? Where did that minute, where did that moment in time go where you pressed play? I look at it as it's back in the absolute, because everything is in the absolute. Everything is alternative space, as Vadim Zeland would call it. Creation. It's all there. We feel like we're living these individual moments that are all linked together on our timeline, but they're not. The only thing dynamic, the only thing that is seemingly changeable are the frames themselves. This is why we say you're not bound by space or time. This is why we say when anybody asks about manifesting a specific person and their specific person lives nowhere near them, that's why it doesn't fucking matter. Every one of us is connected to that one consciousness. Not the no one exists but you thinking. We all exist. You watching this video, me recording this video, we both exist, but our experience of reality is our own. So how you perceive reality, how you think things work is your own individual idea, your own perception, which reminds me of a good example is in my VIP, the Advanced Manifestors group. We're currently in one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. And in this current, the chapter we just finished, Dr. Joe was going into a lot of sciencey details. And it's not a secret. I have made it quite known across the over 1,000 plus videos I have. I'm not the sciencey person. I don't care if science backs me up in manifestation or not. I don't need it to agree with me for me to accept manifestation is true and that I am in charge of what I experience in my life. So because of that, I don't lean on science. I don't talk about it a lot. And I get bored with it. So we were just in this one chapter where Dr. Joe was going full throttle in the sciencey stuff. And it crossed my mind as we were going over finishing that chapter today in the group. Like, oh dear, I really hope that people are getting bored in this particular chapter. It was a concern of mine, right? That was who I was choosing to be. But the beauty, first of all, the beauty of that channel membership, yes, I am going to boop my own channel membership because I have wonderful people in this group, in all the groups. But my advanced manifestors are my special to my heart group. Because what ended up happening when we finished that chapter, I had more than one person chime in. I had a couple people agree with me. They were like, boo, we're over the sciencey stuff. And it was all good. It was all backing manifestation up, right? I love Dr. Joe. This is not a poo-poo on Dr. Joe. But I had more than one person get on and start saying that they loved every second of it, that they were totally invested in the chapter. So what did that mean for who I was choosing to be? I don't like to be negative. I don't like to willingly choose to be a limited version of myself. I like to think that no matter what happens, everything always works out for me. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how the experience looks, it always works out for me, to my benefit, right? And what is one of the things that I want to experience in the groups is that I want people to enjoy their time spent with me. I want that. So I know that's who I'm really choosing to be. And that's how we ended the call. That's how the group ended today, was coming to find out that that concern, that fear, it wasn't necessarily realized, was it? That we can share different aspects of how we perceive manifestation, how we believe reality creation works. And each individual is still right, is what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. Because there's so many books out there, there's so many videos of people telling you, this is the way. This is the way to manifest, the one right way. And you got to listen and do what I say for it to work. Where to me, that mindset is someone actually very, very limited. Because there is not one right way, because we're all God, every one of us. We're all experiencing, I like to think of it as a little reality bubble. We're all in our own little bubble, perceiving and experiencing reality. And there is not one right way. We aren't limited. We're all choosing. And we all have the free will to choose who we are at every given moment. So coming back to the questions of, you can choose to believe that you're limited because you've had more time on the planet. You can have that. And it's not for me to say, no, you're wrong. Because it's up to you what is right for you. What holds fast, what is absolute across all aspects of manifestation is that we are all points in consciousness. We are all, we could say, aspects of the one, of the absolute. So it's for you to decide, do you want to keep thinking that? Do you want to feel like you're limited because you have more time on this earth? Or do you want it to be, no, you're so experienced with the understanding that you are limitless? And to the other person asking the question, do you want to feel like certain bad experiences were your fault and spend more on non-existent linear time trying to figure out what you did wrong as a child to manifest a bad experience? I would hope you wouldn't. That's my opinion. I would hope you wouldn't. That's why I think, and that's why I shared in this video, that I think you should view it as it's like the Matrix. Creation is finished. Therefore, everything already exists, and you're experiencing whatever your I am, who you believe you are, is. That's what it is in reality. Let me give you a different way of looking at it. Every day, every morning, it's my routine. It's my habit. I start my day with knowing who I am. Now, some days that I don't remember, or I have something going on where I had to jump out of bed and go handle something, And maybe I forgot to make my decision. Sure, I'm not perfect. But for the most part, I start every day with the idea that I am choosing who I am because I am. So I'm utilizing my free will to define, to decide who I want or choose or know myself to be. But even while doing that, I know that there might still be unfavorable things in reality. I know car accidents happen. I know that there are some very horrible people out there who are deliberately cruel. I know things happen. I know wars happen. I'm aware of those things. But going back to the little girl in me who was ever taught about war, maybe in school, I don't know, maybe a grandparent talked about it. Do I go back and blame her that those types of subjects keep showing up in my world? No. I just accept that creation is finished and all of these things exist. And my power, my divinity, my sovereignty in all of this is I have a choice of who I am and who I ultimately become, or again, decide I am. And that reality will present to me evidence or validation that I am that. And no one outside of me, nothing outside of me can inhibit that decision because no one has access to my imagination. No one can make me think anything I don't want to. And that's the same for you. You can choose to be any self you want to be because you're already the divine self. So I invite you to see yourself as that limited being and know whatever it is that your little heart desires to experience in reality, you desire it because it exists. You desire it because it's already there. I think of the absolute as spinning all around me. And another way I could say that is I think of all the parts of awareness or of conscious awareness that I don't see with my physical eyes. It's like spinning all around me. I don't know, like floating in the air, but it's dark, like space, what I envision space or the universe to look like. It's all around me. And then every time I remind myself of the decision I've made, I am this self, that all I'm doing is pulling all the things that I want to experience. I'm pulling them closer and closer and closer. And that's the thing is I'm not even really experiencing these things on the outside of me, am I? They're all inside me here. All what we think is being experienced on the outside in the physical isn't. It's in here. Think about that. Try not to get hung up on previous shit experiences. We could go on endless journeys of trying to pick out all the terrible beliefs we've had across our life. And what good does that serve? Initially, maybe it'll, you know, quelch that idea of curiosity of, well, why did this happen? Or why did that happen? But I think eventually that can lead to our own limitedness because it doesn't fucking feel good, does it? Especially if they were things that you wish you never experienced. Doesn't fucking feel good. But think of it as all of those things have zero hold on you because you're actually that clean slate. Every now moment, you're limited by nothing. But we can keep deciding we are. That doesn't make us less of a manifester. It just, we're hanging on to a part of our identity that we can let go of anytime we want because there was never anything wrong with us to begin with. It's the fucking paradox, man. It's the paradox, but it's life-changing. So on that note, well, I talked about the channel membership. So if you are ever willing or desiring to make some outside friends who are into the same thing you are, I encourage you to take a look at my 3 channel memberships. I encourage you to look at the VIP, the Advanced Manifestors, because that's the group that actually gives you access to all the other channel memberships. And that is the group that we do private Zoom live streams. I call them live streams, but they're Zoomed. In other words, we can get on camera and open our mics and chit chat and all that kind of stuff. We do them. They're private and they are not recorded. Those private ones are not recorded, so we can chit chat about anything you want. We do those quite often, especially when I'm due for a nail job. We do them then. But I encourage you to take a look at those if you would like some support along your own manifestation journey. And if you want to work with me in any other way, all of that is in that drop box below. So I'm not going to sell myself anymore. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video and you haven't figured out my name is Kimberly by the title of this channel, well, how you doing? I'm Kimberly. And I think you should subscribe and be my new friend and let me know in the comments below that you are. And if I see that comment, I will get back to you. As well as if you could give this video a like so I can get out to other future HBICers so they can change their life just like those of us who have decided who we are have. So on that note, I'll see you tomorrow.